discovering you, rewiring the brain, rebuilding confidence, and harmonizing with nature. With over 4 decades of changing lives, your self-discovery archaeologist, get ready to be the best of you with your host, Beverly Zeimet.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Beverly Zeimet Show, where being that best you has just gotten easier. My guest today calling in from, well, we don't know if it's sunny or not, California, Miss Amy Lynn. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Beverly. Thank you for having me.
Are you excited?
Yes, yeah, very excited.
Are you ready to have fun?
Yes, always.
Okay. Are you ready to do some laughing?
Yes.
All right, you're in the right place. We do
Awesome.
a lot of that here. So, Amy, tell the audience what it is that you do out there in California.
Sure. So I am the CEO and founder of the Opulent Academy. So what I do, Beverly, is I help entrepreneurs to close more sales with ease, fun, and effortless.
Woo! That sounds like a good thing to do, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
what got you into that? That's interesting.
Well, I went through my own personal development journey, and I realized we all have infinite potential within each and one of us. They just need to be developed, right? So I saw my own transformation, and I really truly believe that each one of us deserves that. So then I decided to become a coach. So this is what I do now. I help people to get into their full potential with ease and fun. So for me, it's not about hustle. It's not about working hard, but working smart.
Oh, that is so true. That is so true. And I'm all about that itself, because if it's not fun and enjoyable and it's always just like, nose to the grindstone, hammer, 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 it's like, why am I doing this, right?
Right.
So that's awesome. So what is one thing that you could share with the audience that you do to make it fun when you're teaching them how to be structured and finding them their best self, right? One thing that would be irrelevant. Yeah.
One thing. I always tell them to really have a feeling of gratitude. So whatever, sometimes, maybe when things get tough, when we actually focus on the gratefulness of everything we have, then it really helps us, it shifts us back to that feeling, that high vibration. So I would definitely recommend being in a state of gratitude, and not just, some people do it in the morning and then the rest of the day they forget about it, right?
Right.
But it's
right.
a habit. It's a habit. It's a way of thinking. It's not just something you do and check off the list kind of thing. So.
It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle
Absolutely.
change, and it's a great habit to get in, regardless of what's going on, right? Because to be grateful, and that's kind of what this show's all about, being that best you that you can be. And being grateful that you're alive. Just being grateful that Amy's here talking to you today, right?
Yeah, and the fact that, like, you're absolutely right, Beverly. The fact that we're healthy, we're alive, right? So much to be grateful for.
Oh, when you look at the chaos in the world today, whoo!
Right, right. Especially, we especially grateful for this. Yes.
Right. And again, you're looking at, you mentioned personal development. I'm all about personal development, right? And I think all of us reach that point at some time in our life to say, who really am I?
Right.
Why am I even on the planet? And I think that question got asked a whole lot last year, right, in 2020. Like, what the heck, right? So again, and it is all about the self. It's that personal development, in who you are, finding who you are. When you have your personal identity, you can become more of an expression to others. How can I serve the world better? By serving yourself first, right?
Absolutely, Beverly. Yeah, it's always you cannot help others if you can't even help yourself, right? So you are the most important person, and you can't give something that you don't have. So you got to fill your cup up, right? Rather than giving, and then your cup is empty. You have nothing to give. So it's always coming back to yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, that is so true. Thank you for sharing that, because a lot of people forget, especially women. It's like we're caretakers for everybody else, but we forget about the self, right?
Right.
And so it's really a key to take care of yourself, like fill that cup up, because you cannot give what you don't have. So when somebody says, hey, I love you more than, not so much. You can only give as much love as what you give to yourself, right?
Absolutely. That's right. Yeah.
So go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that it's the reason why I started my personal development journey, because I got out of a 6-year relationship and I felt lost. I lost myself in that relationship. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what was important for me. And that's why I started into my personal development, to find out who I was, what was important for me. So yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for sharing that too, because I think there's a lot of women out there, especially my audience is more women than men. No offense, guys, but coming out of a relationship and being in a relationship, so a lot of times we do lose ourselves. Whether it's a relationship, with a partner, whether it's a relationship with a child, whether it's a relationship in business, we can get so caught up in that we forget. And again, it goes back to what you mentioned earlier, taking care of yourself, right? So we just get lost in doing for everybody else and being what everybody thinks we should be, Oh yes, I'm the CEO, I'm this, right? And you're like,
right.
But who am I? And you lose the real you.
Yes,
right?
yes, absolutely. So I think in this society nowadays, a lot of women have to become more masculine. Do. But then in reality, we're very feminine. We're very into flow, into the feeling. So I feel like sometimes we get caught up in the doing. We're go-getters, right? And then we forget to really dive into that side of us, which is very, very intuitive, right? It's all about feeling and get in touch with ourselves. Yeah.
And that leads to another relevant thing in our lives of part of that finding out who we really are, is the masculine side of yourself and the feminine side of yourself. Mm-hmm. And I know for me, when I started my journey on that was relevant. That was such a major thing, because I grew up as a tomboy, right? I was always in competition with, my cousins or my brothers or whoever, every male aspect out there. I was always in competition. And it led to a point to where it suppressed my feminine side so much that it created some things going on in my mental state, in my physical state, like, what the heck, And when you begin to recognize that you do have both sides, so it's about balancing, right? Becoming in that harmonious state, aligning with yourself. Your masculine is your strength, and like you said, the do. It's it's that I can plow through anything. But the feminine side is where the power is,
and when you the true power,
and the true power. So when you understand the power versus the strength, and then bring them together, you become a whole being, and that is like powerful, right?
It is. It really is. Yes, absolutely.
And you want to share a little bit more on that with the audience, is how you perceive the difference between your masculine side and your feminine side, and what you did to kind of unite and become in alignment with that?
Yes. So I wasn't aware that I was so masculine. So it's especially when I was in that romantic relationship, I was so masculine that I kind of outshine my partner, right? And I kind of put him down in a way, and I wanted to be in control of things. And of course, he's a male, and he wants to be in control of things too. So it was like kind of like we're butting heads a lot. And I didn't understand why until I ended a relationship, and looking back, I was like, oh, because I wanted to be in control too. And so I was operating from the masculine side, not really get in touch of my feminine side. I wasn't aware of that, not until through personal development. So now what I do, get in touch with my feminine side, is to go within. So meditation really helps you to quiet the mind and really allows you to go into your intuition. And now what I do is sometimes I take a bath. It's really about self-care. Right. It's not just about going out and doing manicures and pedicures, but it's really to have the time for yourself to go within. So yes.
Oh, that's wonderful. When you can step out of and look back and reflect and say, okay, what was my responsibility in what happened in this relationship? Because it takes two to tango, right? And, sometimes it gets pretty personal, sometimes it gets deep. But again, you mentioned one word in that comment, and that was control, right? And it's like there's a little controlling aspect in every single one of us. But when you can shift and say, okay, I'm going to surrender to the control, because you really don't control anything, including your thoughts, right? Right. Because if I say, Amy, don't think of a pink elephant, what's the first thing that flashed in your mind, right? Yeah. Right. So forget this control thing. Start looking at your options and be in charge. Take charge of your life. Take charge of the situation. Change what you can't. What you can. And then the other stuff that that you have no control over, and it's not your rodeo, so to speak, right? And there are certain things and circumstances that are out of your control and you can't change them. But you can change your perception in how you respond to what those circumstances are. And Absolutely. Then you can overcome and you can move through, right?
Yes.
And it sounds like that's kind of what you're teaching, your clients, is to let's find the circumstance that's causing the issue. And let's change our mindset, our perception, and see what we can do to come out the other side with the result that you're seeking, right?
Absolutely. And a big part of that, Beverly, is to let go, to surrender, right?
Surrender to the circumstance. Woo! A lot of people, let's use that word surrender. Share with the audience, how you see surrender and what surrender actually means, because there's a huge misunderstanding as to what surrender really is.
So surrender was my word for 2019. I was like, okay, I really got to practice the surrender thing, right? About letting go of control. So, and what I realized is that in order to surrender, you have to really get in touch with the higher power, so to speak, whatever you call it. Some people call it universe, some people call it God, right? Because we really don't control all that much. We control what we can, but for example, we cannot control the weather, right? So you have to just let go and surrender and enjoy the moment, whether it's raining, it's shining, the sun is out, or it's snowing, right?
Right.
So, but again, it's to really having faith that the universe has your back. I think that is a big point when it comes to surrendering. Because the reason why I didn't surrender, I didn't want to let go, because I felt like, it was going to go out of control if I don't let go. if I let go,
yeah.
I'll out of control. But not trusting that there is a higher power that's really going to helping me, guiding me through. So I think it's a relationship with the higher power.
I agree 100% with that. And again, another word that you mentioned was trust. And it's not only trusting into that higher power or that higher consciousness, it's trusting in
yourself.
Right? That's where it all begins. And a lot of times to surrender, people have a connotation or a thought that if I surrender, I'm giving up. No.
Not
when
at all.
you surrender, you win the war. So when you're in this conflict, is what you had mentioned, in this relationship, and once you got out of it, you really saw where you were butting heads and conflicting all the time. So you look inside of yourself and you say, where am I in conflict with myself?
Mm-hmm.
And when you surrender those circumstances, there's no more battle. When there's no more battle, there's no more war. When there's no more war, you can get on with life. Right? Because now you can start to move through. Your mindset shifts, your perceptions change. You actually begin to discover the beauty of what's there. Right? Change the things you can, and the things that you can't, let them go, because they're not serving a purpose. Right? Why are you having to feel like you have got to defend something that's not even a truth? So when there's a conflict, it's no longer a truth. It was at one time, but now it's not. So when you can recognize the false truth within, then it's easier to start to let go.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
So the first step, it's always the awareness.
Yeah.
You have to become aware, right, and reflect, because otherwise we're just living in the autopilot and just like, oh no, it's not me. It's always easy to blame someone else, right? But it's harder to look within, knowing where the conflict is within myself.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
It doesn't taste good, doesn't smell good, doesn't feel good, but it's there, right? And again, that's part of becoming that best you, and that's kind of what this show is all about. Becoming a better you. And how do you become a better you? You recognize the parts that are saying, and I like that word autopilot, because that's your subconscious. That's running on that old database that you stored that was once your truth. And that's the conflict, because you're believing something out here in this world because you have new database, you've had different experiences, but the subconscious keeps on saying, yeah, but you remember when you were 5 years old and this happened? You remember when you were 10 and that happened? Are you kidding me? Right? And so when you hear those voices and start to understand, watch your actions and how it continues to repeat, then that awareness, that recognition that, Houston, we got a problem. Right?
Yes.
And so what are we going to do about it? When you surrender, when you admit to yourself, that used to be my story. And that was my truth. Well, it's not my truth anymore.
Right.
I'm going to write my story different.
Exactly. That's really when you get your power back. It's no longer to let that circumstances define you, but it's like, I'm making a choice now that I get to create my life. Right?
Yes.
So,
yes, and that's powerful. Yeah. And talking about stories, I heard a little bird say that you are going to be an author.
Yes. I'm actually writing 2 books at the same time. But,
okay.
I'm very excited about that. I never saw myself as an author, but hey, opportunity came up, and it's one way of sharing my story to help inspire other people. So the books that I'm working on currently right now, it's called Asian Woman Who Bossed Up.
There you go. Ooh, I got chills. Ooh, yeah.
Yes, I just love that. It's a collaboration of 16 women with different background, different ethnicity groups that came together, really sharing our stories, not only as minorities, but also as women, especially in the environment currently, is to speak up, to show our stories and what we have to say, and in the hopes to inspire other women or any groups to also stand up for their power.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. It's a fun place to be. I know, because I was one of the 16 in the last book, and that was exciting, right? Yes. So being an author, it just kind of sets you aside, and it really makes you feel good too, because it is an accomplishment and a recognition. I've been writing. I've got numbers of books out there, but you know what? It never gets old when you see that. international #1. Yes. And you pat yourself on the back,
Yes, exactly. That goes back to the self-love again. It's to
Yeah.
right? Like, you did it.
I did it. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the greatest things that I've started to see over the last several years is women coming together and collaborating and supporting one another. There was so many times in my career, because I've been in this industry now 45 years, where there was always friction. If you were in the little niche and you were somebody coming in from the outside, there was always that fear. Oh, I can't introduce you to the people that I know because, you might take them and they're my clients, It's like, what? I never understood that part. But it's shifted to putting together that collaboration and the support. And last year was just massive for support, in every avenue of life.
Exactly. Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Yes, I think last year we kind of came together and realized that we're all one. We're all in this together.
Yeah. We're all in this together,
Yeah, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. Doesn't matter.
No.
What race, men, women, we're all in this together, literally.
Literally, that's exactly right. And when we can work together, everybody wins. It's a win-win for everyone. And one of the things I really love about doing my show is I've got to meet so many powerful speakers and authors and people who are just wanting to share their story, first timers. It's so awesome to have them here, to give them that exposure and to hear what's going on all around the globe. Mm-hmm. So it's not just here in the United States, it's all over. But the one thing that was in common is we're all looking for the same outcome. Mm-hmm. We are one. We all started from the same little divine intelligence. We're all from that God source, right? And we're all united. Somewhere down the line, what you do is going to impact me, and vice versa. And that's what this collaboration, with these Boss Up Women books, because women are starting to get their voice and they're starting to speak it. And so to be able to bring, you guys on here and do my part to say, hey, let it shine. Take your moment of glory here, because it really is to help, as you said, to inspire, right? And to give hope.
Yes.
Regardless of what that story is. We all have a story. And if you want to change your story, you just rewrite it. And it sounds easy. It's not, but I can guarantee you it's simple. And don't be afraid to reach out. Reach out to Amy. Reach out to myself. Reach out to, the internet now is just it's like a field of daisies, that cover the planet of everyone out here looking to support you and help you move through any challenges that you have, to overcome that emotional trauma. Because you know what? And science has proven 5% of the garbage that keeps playing in your story is yours. The other 95% belongs to everybody else, because all thought is magnetic. So when you are in that victim, that pity party, the poor little me's, and you're talking to someone who is the same, you are taking on their emotional trauma and increasing yours. So this little molehill turned into this massive mountain. Right?
And it doesn't really do anyone any good, because if we're just going, right? And the more you talk about it, the more you give your energy to something, it's going to expand.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So rather, talk about how you can shift that, right? And then and really takes a decision, Beverly.
It does.
The power of decision. Just No more. That's it.
Yeah, I'm done.
Right?
No other options. And I'm glad you
Yeah.
used that word decision. So we're playing a game here with words. I love words, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you can make choices, but choices give you the choice to slide back the old way. But when you make a
Yeah.
decision,
Yes.
there are no other options. And to make those decisions to move forward, to disconnect from the power, the energy that's feeding it, that's the key element. But if you don't recognize it first, that Houston's got an issue, to be able to surrender to that circumstance, it just doesn't happen. And it can be
Yes.
just that simple,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And it's the do, as you said, right? In the beginning here is
Yes.
to just begin to share. And there's so much support out there now. It's unlimited. So if someone says to me, yeah, but it'd be nice to be on a team and have support, it's like, it's all around you. Look for it. Look for it. And it's it's hard to ask for help sometimes, because it makes us feel like we're a failure. It makes us feel like we're a piece of what. And it's like,
Right.
that's your interpretation.
Exactly. Again, that's the change in perception, right? If you don't ask, the answer will always be no.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
If you ask, they could be 50-50, right? You just don't know what can come out from it,
Right.
right? So, yeah, ask.
Yeah. And
So,
and that's why collaborating in these books and things like this, and sharing stories and being on shows like this, gives that opportunity for others to say, wow, she gets me. If she can do it, I can do it.
right?
Right?
Yes. It's really the message that we want to share to people, is that we're all the same, right? Doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter your background, doesn't matter your culture, does not matter.
No.
Right? Yeah. If I can do it, you can do it, right? And that's the thing about social media, is that we're looking at social media, we're thinking, oh, that person can do it, but I wouldn't be able to. No. Right? Why not? We're exactly the same. So if anyone else can do it, you can do it. Absolutely.
And you have to remember, the ones that did it had the same thoughts you do before they did it. Right? That's the ironic part of the whole thing. We've all been there, right?
We all been there. Yep.
Right.
We just push through. We just don't allow those limiting beliefs to hold us back. We have them too, right? Because,
yes.
Again,
Yeah.
we do too, right? But we don't allow those limiting beliefs to hold us back.
Yeah. We begin to recognize them faster,
For sure.
and then we, move through them.
Yes.
It's kind of like, here's this big wall out in the middle of the desert, and you walk up to this big wall, and it says, well, get to the other side. What's your first instinct? It's to try to climb over it. Well, it's a lot easier to just walk around it.
Right. And it's a change of perception, right? Sometimes you have to step back. If you're so close up to it, you can't see anything else.
Yeah. You get too close to the forest, you can't see the trees.
Yes.
Yeah.
So always, that's why it's so important to have time for yourself to reflect.
Right.
Rather than just keep on going, do, and not reflecting, not shifting gears if you need to.
Right.
Yeah.
So in this book that you're doing, the Women's Boss Up book, right?
Yes.
How do you see that making a transformation or a shift in Amy herself?
Well, given that this is my first book, I'm really sharing my story because, again, coming from an Asian culture, we're not usually expressive.
Okay.
Right? We usually very reserved, and we don't really share. So this time, and I love to see the cover of the book is 16 Asian women. Like, when was I don't recall ever seeing a book with 16 Asian women on the cover of the book. So even just holding the book, it makes me feel so empowered. Like, we got our power back, ladies. in a sense. So for me, it's very empowering, that feeling, to be able to to also share the stories that we have collectively. Yeah.
Right. Oh, that's awesome. All right, so if people want to get a hold of you, Miss Amy, how do they get a hold of you?
Sure. So I'm in social media. It's just the Opulent Academy. So on Facebook, on Instagram, and also Beverly. I actually would love to give your audience a gift.
Okay.
So this is for listeners who are entrepreneurs who want to close more sales and really create a quantum leap in 2021. So I created a 6-step series with videos and action steps, and it's free for your audience.
Okay.
And all they need to do is just to text the word gifts, so GIFTS, to the phone number is 714-477-5636.
Okay, can
That's
you
it.
repeat that again, just a little bit slower? And we'll
Oh,
also
yes.
put it in the, we'll put it up in the, the comment box and, up across the top so
Yes,
people can get that.
absolutely. Again, the phone number is 714-477-5636. And all you need to do is text the word gifts. So GIFTS.
Awesome.
You'll get a link to the gifts, to uncover the gifts.
Right, and if they forget that phone number, they can go to the Opulent Academy.
Yes, absolutely.
Find you on Facebook and just say,
Uh-huh.
I can't remember the number. I want your gift, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Or email me too at hello@the Opulent Academy. So everywhere is the Opulent Academy. Yeah,
There
absolutely.
you go. All right.
Yes.
Well, Amy, thank you so much for being with us here today. I wish you great success and fun times with that book. You're going to make so many tight relationships and supporting, with coming off of a book, with 16 great speakers and people, we've got like our own little community. It's so much fun.
Right. Exactly. And Beverly, I want to thank you for doing what you do and creating this platform for people and women, right? To really have a platform for them to speak up, to really share their stories. So thank you for what you do.
Well, you're so welcome. And if you have any other people out there that are interested and wanting to get on a show, hey,
Yes.
send them on over because we'll gladly get their message out as well. And thank you again
Awesome.
for being here. And it's time to
Thank
say,
you.
go out there, be that best you that you can be, because Amy and I are going to be the best we that we can be. And we'll see you all in the next show.